So yeah, we are not pending stream until we are completely complete Matplotlib, and we are starting now. Okay, that's good.
Is basically the entire window.
Mm, let's do one thing. Let's do one thing. Right. Okay, we're starting now, and it's 12, 12 and 12, exactly 12 at night. Let me show you people.
Understand what data visualization really means and why it matters. Data visualization is all about turning raw data into visuals using things like charts, graphs, or maps. These visuals help quickly see patterns, spot anything unusual, and just get a better sense of what the data is telling us. Here's a quick example. Let's say you have a list of sales numbers for each month of the year. Sure, you could look at those numbers one by one, but if you plot them on a line chart, you'll instantly see how sales went up or down over time. That's the beauty of data visualization. It helps make data clear, simple, and easy to understand. Now coming back to Matplotlib, this is a Python library business management. What makes Matplotlib so powerful is its flexibility. You can create all kinds of plots like plot or plt.bar to make your charts. The second way is through the object-oriented API. This one gives you more control and is better suited to something called the pyplot API. This is the simpler and more commonly used method. You just import it using import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT and then use functions like plt.plot or plt.bar to make your charts. The second way is through the object-oriented API. This one gives you more control and is better suited for complex or customized visualizations, especially when you're building something that needs to be more advanced or integrated into an application. In this tutorial, we're going to explore both methods using easy examples. So go ahead and open your Jupyter notebook or Google Colab and let's get started with Matplotlib and the world of data visualization. So before we get started with the implementation of Matplotlib, I want to quickly show you guys the anatomy of a Matplotlib figure. So a figure in Matplotlib is basically the entire window or page. It's basically the entire canvas that represents the various components like legends, your axes, the grids, your labels, everything. Right? So all components are contained inside a figure. So let us the representing is basically shown by the labels. So we have x-axis label and y-axis label. So say for example, I have the data of number of hours studied versus the marks scored. So I can represent my x-axis as the number of hours studied, and I can label it as number of hours studied. And similarly, I can do it for y-axis label as the marks scored. So marks that you can see on your axis. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 are basically your major tick labels, and your minor tick labels are the in between marks. Then you can also label your entire figure. So you can give a title to your figure using the title component. Sure, you could look at those numbers one by one, but if you plot them on a line chart, you'll instantly see how sales went up or down over time. That's the beauty of data visualization. It helps make data clear, simple, and easy to understand. Now, coming back to Matplotlib, this is a Python library built specifically for creating visualizations. It's been around for a long time and is widely used in areas like data science, research, engineering, statistics, and business management. What makes Matplotlib so powerful is its flexibility. You can create all kinds of plots like live components according to how we want our figure to look like. All right. So in order to get started, I want you guys to quickly open any terminal and just run the command pip install matplotlib. And once you run it, you will see a few lines of code run over here for you. And finally, when you get the message requirement satisfied, that means your library is installed successfully. Now, once your library is installed, you can go ahead and if I run it, so it's imported successfully. So along with my matplotlib, I'm also going to import pandas. And if I run it, so both my libraries are imported successfully. So just to give you guys a basic gist of what matplotlib does, I'm just going to create two variables for you guys. So I have my variable x as 1, 2, 3, and my variable y as 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so these are my x and y variables. Now, in order to plot these variables using matplotlib, all I have to do is say plt.plot, pass my variables x, y, and just say plt.show. And as you can see over here, this is what matplotlib gives me. So over here, what matplotlib is trying to do is, it is trying to plot my data like this. So 1, comma 4, then I have 2, comma 5, and then I have 3, comma 6. Okay, so these are the variables that I passed, and this is the data that matplotlib is trying to plot over here. Okay, so if you go ahead and see 1, comma 4, 2, comma 5, and 3, comma 6. So if I want those dotted grid lines that we initially discussed in our figure, all I have to do is say plt dot grid and run it. See, now you can see I have my grid lines. Now it gets much easier to read my data in a more efficient manner. And I can easily spot that this particular dot represents 2, comma 5, and this particular spot represents 1.75, comma 4.7. To figure out what each of these points on this particular line represent, right? So this is basically the major idea or the major implementation of matplotlib. Now, using this functionality of matplotlib, we are going to try and plot different kind of plots for different data sets. So as we discussed earlier, matplotlib has two types of plotting. So one is using the pyplot API and one is using object-oriented API. So first we're going to cover the pyplot API. So let me just write it down that we are only going to discuss pyplot API right now. In the end of the video, I'm going to discuss how you can use object-oriented API as well. Okay. So in order to understand which particular plot is to be used for what kind of data, let me quick univariate analysis. So a univariate variable basically focuses on one variable at a time. It could be a height, weight, or a category like yes or no. All right. So first we're going to cover the numerical column. So in order to understand, let me just create a data where I have a column salary, and it looks something like this. Okay, so this is my salary column, and this is just a dictionary, and I have to convert it into a data frame. So I'm going to call my dataset df, and I'm going to say pd dot data frame, and I'm simply going to pass my data. Now, if I try and print the first 5 records of my dataset, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so this is my salary column, and these are my records. Let me also go ahead and check the total number of records in my data. So all I have to do is say df.shape, and if I run it, so I have 20 records, and I have only one column. So over here I have 20, 1. All right. So now in order to visualize this particular column in my data frame, the first plot that I have is a line plot that we have already seen, but now we're going to see it in much more detail. So in order to plot a line plot, all I have to do is plt.plot, and in my parentheses, I just have to pass my column inside my df variable, that is my data frame, like this. So if I run it, so this is basically how my salary column is varying. Okay. So at some point it is data frame like this. So if I run it, so this is basically how my salary column is varying. Okay. So at some point it is really high. That is the highest salary is going to 55,000, whereas the lowest salary is somewhere around 25,000. Okay. Now what I can do is I can also go ahead and make some changes in my plot. Like I can say I want my color to be red and I want my grids to be shown. And I can also have my markers. So I can have my marker as letter O. Now what this marker is going to do is wherever I have a data point, it's going to be marked. So for example, over here, basically wherever I have a data point, it's going to be marked with O. I can also go ahead and change the language. Let me just run it. So as you can see, my color has changed to red. I have grids in my plot and my marker is being represented with a dot over here. As you can see, now instead of a straight line, I can change my line style to a dashed line like this. So now you can see my line is a dash, the column. So now you can see my line has been dotted. I can also go ahead and change the width of my line using the line width parameter. And I can say I want it to be 2. Okay, so as you can see, the width has been increased. So if in case I want my marker to be represented with a star, all I have to do is pass this particular symbol and the marker style has been changed. Okay, so you can go ahead and play around a little with the parameters that are available in MATPLOTLIB. Again, Seaborn offers a bit more functionality compared to MATPLOTLIB, but this is great when you want to deal with your plots at a lower level. Okay, then the next way we can visualize our column is through histogram. So in order to plot a histogram, dot hist and pass a column in the parenthesis. And for now, I'm going to exclude the bins parameter and just show you guys how the salary column is going to look like in a histogram. Okay, so histogram basically tells us the frequency of our data distribution. So what this graph is basically telling us is that there are around 3 people, 30,000, then 2 people in the range 30,000 to 35,000, and there are 3 people again in 35 to 40 range. Okay, so this is basically how our data is being distributed. Now, in order to make it more clear, I can go ahead and pass bins, and I'm going to, no, I don't want grids for this particular graph, and I'm going to say my color is going to be green. So now I have divided my plot in 5 bins. So now it's more clear and more readable. Okay, so I have 6 people earning 25,000. and import it in
गाइस मेरे को स्ट्रीम करना है अभी, बट ये लैग ही होने जा रहा है, लैग ही होने